this is the first of the debates for the debate competition. Hopefully you'll like this, and my young esteemed colleague here, Sebastian, will hopefully garner enough votes from yous to make him be the winner of all the tasty, tasty prizes. Without further ado, this is Sebastian, long-time gamer. I've known him since before he was born, has oodles of gaming equipment, oodles of knowledge, and he's ready to drop some on you.
Well, today in this debate, I will be talking about the current state of affairs of games, such as their development cycle and, of course, the development of their story, lore, and, of course, the characters and universe. Now, to bring up a good example of a game and their universe and lore, it would be Skyrim. Well, the Elder Scrolls just in general has an amazing amount of lore and good story for the most part. I mean, with the just to bring up the story in Skyrim, of course, was quite interesting. The aspect of the dragon,
Being dragonborn and
yes,
moving the character forward in that particular universe.
Interesting. It was an interesting story, and of course, another game that has some sort of good motivation behind the story would be, of course, Dark Souls. You're an undead. It's Hollowed. I remember it is, who goes to find someone to stop the hollowing. I can't remember exactly what the story behind that was, but of course, two reasonably good examples of story in a game. And also Fallout, of course, because that has a wonderful story.
Oh, Fallout's the mutt's nuts. I love Fallout.
Yeah.
And still, even to this day, the last time I played Fallout would be about 4 years ago, and I still sometimes see hair clips on the ground. Oh, hair! No, I'm not playing Fallout 3. I still do that.
Yeah. I used to do that with paper clips and stuff. So it's like, that can be used too, and I'm slowly deteriorating.
So
here.
those are examples of good game development. What to your examples of poor game development?
Poor game development would be stuff along the lines of Call of Duty and Battlefield, because they're games that are generally rushed out to soak out the money from Christmas. A really bad example would be in Battlefield 4's case, where it came out unfinished, incomplete. It was broken to the bone. It garnered the name Broken Field 4 on release. Now you can see when you get a nickname like that, it's gonna be bad selling from there on out.
Yeah.
Though it's redeemed itself a little bit by fixing most of the bugs.
So you would say that the Battlefield and the COD series have become pretty much cookie cutter. They keep chucking out the same game over and over and over, and saturating the FPS market to a point where everything comes out is marked against them, whether it be better or worse.
Yeah. Although hopefully, talking about FPS games and how they're kind of dulled down to the dullest demeanor, really, when you talk about this. Although hopefully Doom 4 will be amazing.
Doom 4, there is hope in Doom 4.
There is.
Please.
Just like Wolfenstein New Order, there's hope in that. That was good.
Wolfenstein New Order, I've not played it myself, but I've watched a lot about it, and it does look very interesting.
It was
and the
fun.
mechanics are beautiful, and the lighting is exquisite.
It's sort of like playing old school, Wolfenstein, but in a new engine, and it's amazing.
Speaking of someone that's played the original Wolfenstein,
I have too. I have as well.
For someone so young.
You know what? A point to bring up. Currently, games get really boring. Like, games are just the same old thing. Do this, do that. Oh, Bob's your uncle. You've won. You're the hero of the time, or whatnot. But I go back to games like Doom and stuff, and I find, oh my god, this is so fun. I can just mutilate everything in this old style graphics, and it's fun. And that's why I like it, because it's just quite fun playing the old games.
So would you say that you find yourself having less fun with the more modern games?
Modern games are kind of they're just boring nowadays, you know? They've not got a sort of twinkle in their eye hoping to amuse people. They're not really hoping to amuse people nowadays. I'm more talking about big AAA games. Some AAA games, yeah, they can be really fun and enjoyable for an extended period of time, and then they sort of get boring after a while again. But in older games, doing stuff, they're just really fun to replay and replay on the higher difficulty settings, because it's so fun and rewarding because it's so difficult.
Almost like going back and watching a classic movie.
Yeah, it's like that.
Like Flash Gordon.
Sort of the nostalgia feel. Yeah. I've actually watched that movie as well.
Oh, it's a great movie.
It's pretty awesome.
It's like flying high on a rocket cycle.
What can you say? We're insane. And I would say, first-person games, it's kind of getting boring. There's some sort of light at the end of the tunnel, I guess, with this, because at least the new Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is stepping up a little bit and adding exosuits, even though Titanfall had giant mechs.
I think what Advanced Warfare is doing is they're basically taking their cues from the hacking community, because on the PC versions of the last few of those games, the hackers have been going in, or rather the modders have been going in, and adding abilities to people, to the game people, and people have really been loving these particular add-ons. So they've gone and taken that from the community, seen what's worked, and actually put it into the new game, which is a good move, and hopefully it'll actually move the COD series forward, because it does need to move forward. Because all it's doing, like football games and fighting games, which I've spoken of before, and if you haven't seen that video, I suggest that you go back through my archive and watch it, because it's relatively telling. That all they're really doing is getting prettier.
I won't hear a word against Mortal Kombat, because that's amazing.
Oh, well, yeah, Mortal Kombat's great, and Tekken is great. A lot of the fighting games are really well made.
Yeah.
But all they're really doing is just getting prettier.
Yeah.
There's nothing new to really draw you in and keep you playing.
New fatalities are there.
Yeah. But once you've learned them.
Oh no, they're still satisfying. I can say, good point of a good game being ported to a infinitely good system. Mortal Kombat 9 was ported to the PS Vita. I bought it. I have fun while I'm on the bus back from school or stuff. I get bored. I whip this out and I kill Shao Kahn. I'm good for another few minutes. Because playing through it, it's still really fun. I mean, you automatically get the.
I would agree with you on the Vita. You're like me. You have a first gen Vita.
Yeah,
the old LED
really
screen and the size and the weight of it. This is a brilliant system.
It is.
People always go, no games in the Vita. There are lots of games
There are
in the Vita.
tons.
You just have to look.
Gravity
Seriously.
Rush. That's a great game.
Brilliant game. It's like
Tearaway.
I'm really looking forward to Murasaki Baby. Now that is character development if ever I saw it in game development. That is such a clever game. That looks so fun. Seriously, look up Murasaki Baby.
That's on my list.
But yeah, seriously, on a side note, pick yourself up a Vita. If not even just for the role play for your PS4, the fact of the matter is if you've got PS Plus, free games.
Yeah. Just
But
in general,
anyway, back
I'd
to
say.
character development.
Character development, of course, in games such as Red Dead Redemption. That's a good example of a game that was brilliant. I love that game. It's probably got one of my favourite soundtracks, of course. I mean, I love my metal music, of course. But when it comes I like classical music. Music like from Entwined, which was so just sort of melodic and lovely. I love that music as well. And I found myself playing Red Dead Redemption just loving the music when it came on, because it was so few and far between for the actual good music cues to come on, like in the part of Mexico. I can't remember the exact song, but it was a wonderful song when riding into Mexico. It gave a great feel. And now,
It set the tone.
yeah, it did, and it was brilliant. And I love that game because John Marston, an amazing character, in my top 5 list, I would say, for brilliant characters.
So if you have a list of top 5 characters, quickly round out first who those top 5 of really good game characters are for you.
I'm not going to say
You don't have to put them in any particular order, just give us a general
in
overview.
any order. I would say John Marston is a wonderful character development. Adam Jensen from Deus Ex Human Revolution, of course.
Oh, I love Deus Ex. That was a brilliant
is-
game. Admittedly, that boss you meet in, you have to do with the grenades and you're hiding in those little rooms. That first big boss, he was so nippy. Oh, but other than that, brilliant.
Actually, it was a third boss. It was a girl that could go invisible. She
She was nippy.
Yeah, we're now scrabbling about bosses. But third, probably a really great, another great character. What's his name? Was sort of just like your own character. I would say just in general, your own character when you create a character in a game. Be it Saints Row the Third, be it Fallout 3. Your character.
When you get to tell your own story.
Yeah. It's like you have your own background for your character, and it's amazing. Not so much in.
It's even better when you have a good character editor, and you can make the character on screen look as much like you as possible. And the closer you get to looking like you, the happier you generally are.
I mean,
I know I am.
In all honesty, in Saints Row the Third, I just got a Cockney and started shooting people while wearing sort of the most like sort of combat sort of gangster look sort of thing with like miniguns and everything. I just love that game because it's so wacky. Not a good point. Wacky games, they're fun, you know.
But there's an there could be an overload of wackiness.
Yes. It's bad if there's too much wacky, it gets annoying. But when there's just enough, it's perfect. Fourth, I wouldn't say it's not in any order, but fourth, another character I would say from my top 5 would be Jason Brody from Far Cry 3. Because you see him go from being pretty much a wimp, just being sort of captured by Vass, and sort of now being about getting nearly getting sold to be a slave. You see him develop from being that sort of wimpy guy that nearly cried from first killing someone, to being sort of the warrior that inspires like crowds of people to fight for their freedom.
Yeah.
It's and it's a great character development and another amazing example of character development, of course. And,
which is something we need over the likes of, say, the recent Lara Croft game, which was really well written. I mean, we're talking about a story that's written by the daughter of Pratchett, you know, so someone that knows what they're doing. But the story was great, but it wasn't so much that Lara Croft's character got developed. She just had a bunch of stuff happen to her that made her become a badass, but there was no... It's not character development as we would traditionally describe it. However, within the medium of games, perhaps tradition is something we often need to fight against, so it's a contentious issue. But anyway.
And next, I would say the staple of great characters. Now, this might be a bit cheesy, because they're technically two characters, but they work so well together. It's a thing. It's Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us.
And this I've not played, so don't spoil for me, but I do know that there is meant to be an interesting dynamic between the two.
Yeah. It's basically Joel, who is a smuggler in this post-apocalyptic sort of area and land. He gets tasked with protecting this girl. And it's sort of the father-daughter sort of relation between them that pushes the story onwards.
So to round all this off and bring everything to a nice sort of close, what would you say is something that you would like to see happen, and how would you bring it about within the games industry?
Developers should stop rushing out their games so quickly.
Spend a bit more time in development.
Yeah,
you say.
like Battlefield 4, the reason it was so broken and so bad is because they raced to just throw it out to compete with Call of Duty. That's the big problem for it. And a lot with Saints Row 4. I love Saints Row 4. It was amazing, but it kind of got rushed out to sort of compete with GTA 5.
True.
Both good games, and I would say I probably prefer Saints Row 4 just because, in a scale, when you look at Saints Row 2, 3, and 4, 4 is just straight up wacky, and 2 is just a serious sort of gangster.
So was 1. 1 was very serious.
Yeah, but you saw it got a bit more wacky in 2 though. You could see. But when you look at it, Saints Row 3 goes from wacky, serious, wacky, serious, wacky, serious. It's good and it's fun, but you kind of need to give a straight contrast between.
Hey guys, sorry about that. We kind of ran out of both memory and battery, so this is just a little bit we've tacked on the end. Me and Sebastian would like to thank you for watching. Remember to rate, favourite, comment, share, subscribe, and
Peace out.
nae bother.